I'm suggesting that we just need to begin to look at ourselves and check ourselves and recognize that there is an issue here. There's an underlying issue that's causing us not to be successful in life. Because we have to, I think we all pretty much agree and embrace the old adage that what goes around comes around, okay? Karma. Biblically, it'd be you reap what you sow. We believe that, don't we? We believe that, but we keep putting ourselves in harm's way because we don't respond properly to other folks, and we end up suffering, reaping the retribution for us. We just need to have more of an empathy for one another if we want to be well. Okay? We have a sickness right now in this nation. Our nation is sick. Our economy is sick. Everything it seems that we put our hand to do, Mother Nature, sick. Spiritually, the churches, we see all kinds of immorality and negativity coming out of the churches, sick. Internationally, our relationship with other folks, sick. But what it really boils down to is how you view folks and how you respond to them. And if you don't respond to them properly, you're going to be reaping the consequences. We look at the stuff that's going on right now in Libya, and it was really unfortunate about that embassy ambassador that was killed because it seemed to be he was a real nice guy. He was a good guy. I mean, the Peace Corps snuck over to Libya on a boat to help in the revolution, and then to be killed like that. And in Yemen, Cairo, we're talking about Indonesia, they're bracing for some, message all over the Middle East. Why? Because of this video about Islam and about depicting the Prophet Muhammad in a negative way. Now what's up with that? Why are we doing that? I mean, this is supposed to be a nation, of religious, tolerance, of religious freedom. But it seems that we only expect religious tolerance and religious freedom when it comes to our religion. That's hypocrisy. And we reap what we sow. I mean, it is amazing to me, number one, but when you're looking at these people that are protesting because of that film that went out, and they're being anti-U.S. just because of a couple of U.S. people, a few U.S. people that put out that film. And we might want to shake our heads, how come they're responding like that? But the reality is, if you look at the U.S., how many people in the U.S. are anti an entire religion because of the actions of a few of that religion? Because we went through a hard time here. We went through the time, of course, the towers, being bombed and those terrible things that have happened. But it wasn't all of Islam. It wasn't all Muslims. It wasn't all of these Muslim nations. It was a few people. Yet we have turned our heat and our wrath against all Muslims. I remember that there were some Muslim organizations who wanted to build some kind of help center around the 9/11 site, but we were against that because they were Muslims. Man, I did a couple of programs on that, and I had a lot of tense moments with other Americans because, I'm like, it wasn't all Muslims, it was a couple folks. Imagine if black folks held against all white folks what some white folks have done. It's the popular little saying from white folks today saying, well, I didn't have any slaves, I didn't do any of that. Well, okay, so you can't really blame that on me. So given that same logic, how can you persecute, or how can you demonize, or how can you be wrathful against an entire religion for what all of them didn't do to you? Now, if you really want to be that, then you have to take the responsibility for every ill that was created by every white person historically in this nation. And that would be ridiculous. So I'm saying is, the way we have been responding to Muslims is the way we have been responding to people of color. And when I say we, I mean the United States of America. We can't be surprised when this stuff goes down like this, because really we're looking at a mirrored reflection of the way that we've been responding to other folks. Now you talk about mob violence. As terrible as that was, we have had people in this nation that have firebombed mosques. We have people in this nation that firebombed the church. The little girls were killed back. So we have things going on in this nation that are not unlike that. And I'm saying is these things happen, and we have to understand karma. So what I'm suggesting is that we got to recognize And if everybody does it, we have to as African Americans, because we ain't there yet. We got to stop even responding to each other harshly in a negative way because of our income levels, our education levels, or whatever we are. We have to recognize that we are first of all, we are brothers and sisters as African Americans in this nation and every nation. I was lamenting to a buddy the other day because it's not how it was. I remember back in the 70s, coming up as a young person and going to the military in 1976 when I was 17 years old, and the relationship that black people had with each other. Whenever you see a black person anywhere on the street, hey, what's happening, man? How you doing? And it didn't matter what state of the United States you were in, it doesn't matter what country you were in. You saw another black man, it was what's happening. Everything was cool. And, I mean, it was like a love, among people. And there was nothing even more heartwarming than to be like a 17-year-old airman and to be in places where an older black man, military or civilian, would say, hey, what's happening, little brother, and try to give you some advice or some help or some insight just because you were black. I don't know what has happened to us this day. And even on a wider scale than that, it's just not about the brotherhood of black folks, it's the brotherhood of humanity. But that's kind of outside of the reach or grasp for this nation or any nation to embrace. It's just terrible. As human beings, it doesn't matter what religion or denomination. I mean, come on now. I mean, I look at it even from from a God or a creator or Allah, Yahweh, the source or whatever. And we're all creation of that source. We're all the children. And so that means we're all related to each other. We're all brothers and sisters and cousins. We should be responding to each other properly. We're hearing this one religious man, Farrakhan, he was going, I mean, he had his own agenda, but he made a particular point that was pretty valid to me. He was talking about honoring your mother and your father. And even the Bible talks about honoring your mother and your father. Or there'll be a curse if you don't, or something like that. And that black people were the first people on this planet. We know that. Any anthropologist will tell you that. So in a sense, black folks are your mama and your father. If you don't honor them, it's going to be a curse. Now, I'm not going that far, because that is a stretch. This is an interesting concept. But I'm just saying we need to be honoring all people. We are all people. I mean, what does it take? I saw a movie the other day, that movie with Rihanna called Battleship. When we were attacked by aliens, from another planet, and how all the people got together and became as one, even people that were, of different nations, to fight against the threat to humanity. I think we need to get that. We need to get that reality before we're attacked. I'm not saying there's aliens that are going to be attacked. I'm saying, but that is a reality that we really need to see, that we are all brothers and sisters. We are all human. If I need a lung, and there was a Russian, that we're blood compatible, that lung will fit in me and it'll work, So we are all one. We're all one human race, and we need to stop looking down on people because of certain ideologies they've embraced, or whatever religion or lifestyle or sexual identity, whatever people have embraced that's not like us. We have to still recognize we are all related. We are, and I'm telling you, when you are not, there's going to be heck to pay. So like with your body, I've lived on this health kick for the past few years, just trying to eat right for real and exercise and do all these things that I'm supposed to be doing. But what's really unfortunate is what we find all over this nation, because we know this is a nation of out of shape people, right? But we find folks that have been eating anything they want, doing everything that they want to do, and then they have a heart attack. Okay, now I'm going to start eating right. Let's eat right before we have the heart attack. Let's stop smoking before we get cancer. Let's stop eating the wrong kind of foods before we get diabetes. Let's just take care of ourselves before the sickness has to manifest. And I'm suggesting today, what goes around does come around. Whether it's from your body and health, whether it's from the earth and the things that we're doing to the earth, not taking care of it, whether it's from how we react and respond to each other as human beings, what goes around comes around. We do what we sow. There is a thing called karma, and we need to get it together. All of the ills of this planet can be related to corruption in men. Corruption. And that corruption has to cease. If we're going to survive, it has to cease. What's very interesting Because when I take from my daughter a lot of these science programs on television. And they had this one science program called The Universe, and it was like 6 or 7, little episodes, and I DVR'd all of them for her and I to watch together. But I watched some of them myself because I like that kind of stuff. And I was looking at some of the planets like Mars and Venus, because we have a way of looking at these planets and seeing what they actually look like. We can send stuff there and actually take pictures. And we recognize, or I recognize, when I see these uninhabitable planets, what planet Earth could look like one day. They talk about Venus being like a place where you can't survive, but they're given to understand that it was once somewhat more closely related to Earth, but the greenhouse gases, climate jacked up and whoosh, just changed everything. What I'm suggesting is that we just need to begin doing right. Recently I've been trying to talk to my daughter, talking to her about that way. We walk every day, her and I, like 5 days a week. And I love that. And we walk fast, we power walk. But in that time, one day she was going to bring her iPod with her, and I'm like, you're not bringing that iPod with you. This is our time to talk. And so I've been talking to her, one of those days about just making the right choices, doing the right things. And because if you take the wrong turn, I told her there's a road for you. There's the right road for everybody on this planet. For every individual, there's the right road. And it's a large road. You have many choices that are fine. But you're going to be faced through the course of your life with choices, with decisions to make. When you're offered, or what comes before you is a choice to make that isn't quite right. It's bad, might be dishonest, might be evil. Don't take that. Because you can take that road, and it's a completely different road. And it might be a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years down the road before something manifests of that. But if you just determine within yourself that you're just going to do the right thing, and you're always going to do the right thing, you never have to worry about ending up on that wrong road. I'm not saying negative things won't befall you, but there won't be negative things created by you doing negative things. It won't be a karma situation. It won't be you're reaping what you're sowing or what going around coming around. Stuff just happens in life. But most of the negativity that happens in our lives, we bring on ourselves by decisions and choices that we make that are not quite right. And I'm just suggesting we just need to turn around, especially as African Americans, and determine that we're not going to go. I don't care. This is what I told my daughter. I said, look, it doesn't matter what everybody else says. And you came up in a particular way, or I came up in a particular way, and I was victim to that. But my dad didn't talk to me like this. I came from a different time, I guess. But my dad was a good man, and he always worked. He was always there. Today is different. We never knew that a person could be without lights. We never knew that a person could be without water. We never knew that a person could be without food or any of these things that many people go without nowadays. We were oblivious to that. And I do recognize in retrospect that my dad did go around turning off lights in the house, and he was really upset when we'd leave them on, but it was more like a joke to all of us. We never thought about the fact that you were actually paying for bills. So my father kept everything going, and he was always there, took care of business. As far as the conversations I have with my daughter and my son, it wasn't like that, okay? So I talked to my daughter, and I just expressed to her that you just need to always make the right decisions. I didn't. And that when your friends come and your friends say, hey, come on, let's go do this, don't do it if it isn't right. I told her the other day, I said, you're looking at life, it's like in life, you're in the 2nd grade right now. So in school, from like the 2nd grade to high school is this much time. The rest of your life is this much time. These people, you may never see again. And too often, even young people make decisions with this little group of people that affect the rest of their life negatively. And we just need to make sure that if in this little space in time in your life when your friends come up to you and they say, hey, let's do something, or let's respond this way, or let's do that, or let's treat folks this way, well, I got to go home now. I grew up with people that would be that way, that just had to go home now. When I wasn't, they became real successful, real well in life. And this is how we have to be. We have to begin to make a determination that from this point on, and I'm saying from this program, from this point on, let's just begin making the right decisions. Forget about the past. Forget about what's been done. I mean, that's a gift that I have, to the chagrin of my wife and other folks sometimes. I don't care what mistakes were made. If there were mistakes that you made toward me or I made towards you, I have no problem saying, okay, we're going to start right here. That's where I live my life. I don't dwell on the past. I don't dwell on negativities of the past and even mistakes and things that I've made. But I say, from this point on, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm alive. I'm not living back there. I'm living right here. From this point on, I'm going to start doing the right thing. I've been eating right. I've been eating right for the last 5 years or so. And I've been eating more right, even more recently. It doesn't matter how many potatoes I used to fry up at 2 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter of me smoking or drinking or all the things I used to do like 25 or so years. None of those things matter. I wish I had been doing right from the time I was my daughter's age, but I wasn't. But I'm doing right now. That's what I'm saying. This is what we have to make a determination. It doesn't matter what everybody else does. It doesn't matter what your neighbors do or even other black folks do. It doesn't matter what the white folks do. It doesn't matter what Americans are thinking or doing or what the religious folks are thinking or doing. Or people, you just make sure, and I'll make sure, that from this point on, we always do the right thing. That's it. Whatever you got that isn't right, stop doing it. Throw it out. Flush it. Get rid of it. Recognizing, again, how short our lives are. Not just as far as, like I told my daughter, that it's like second grade to high school and the rest here. Why don't we just say this? You got your birthday and your death day. And then you got all forever and ever, the influences that you impact on the lives of those who have come after you and those that have come after them. And after them, all of them responding and living a life based on influences that you spoke or lived in front of the lives of their parents or their grandparents or their great-great-grandparents. So what I'm suggesting to you, the actions that you take today, the decisions that you take today, good or bad, so let's make them good, affect those that are coming after you. And if they're that good, it'll affect the generations and the generations and generations to follow, long after you're gone. But what's unfortunate is the negative effects as well. Look at our inner city neighborhoods. Look at the negativities of what they call the sociological cycles of kids, living like their mothers, and their mothers were like their mothers, and their lives are in the hood or in the inner city, public housing, and jacked up on welfare, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, babies. Because there were negativities passed on just like positive traits passed on. That's what I'm leaving you today. It's just very, very important for us to recognize that our actions, they speak louder than words in front of our children. And we really need to be imparting them some positive things. So I'm telling you, our situation today, not as Americans, as the world, as Americans, as black folks, it's on a collision course with a negative destiny unless we do something quickly. I'm suggesting all we can do as individuals is just begin to fix ourselves. And if I can fix myself and affect my child positively, it will impact generations to follow after me. If each of us begin to do that, there'll be like this exponential positive influence in the lives of generations to come. And we can turn this mess around. Maybe not so much in our lifetime, but we can start the ball rolling for a better future in the lives of our children. How's that? Well, I do want to thank you once again for joining me and listening. And I want to invite you to listen again.